been playing it up for years. How hard it is, what a mental tax it
What
is
an
on you.
absolute nightmare. Well, we are, in fact, live on YouTube, so we're going to get this started right about...
Honey, give me a kiss. I'm too tired from hooking the streams up.
Oh, my God.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Comic Book Club. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And we are coming to you live from a couple of places on the internet. We're live over on Crowdcast, live on YouTube. Maybe you're listening later as a podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's all good. We love it. And we love you, and we're in love with you.
What?
Wow.
It's just a little confession right there at the top of the podcast.
We always start with a confession. Pete, you confessed to those murders. I confessed to that time I peed my pants recently.
Mm-hmm. And I confessed that I loved everybody, and that's the difference between the three of us.
Wow.
Yeah. There you go. A couple of orders of business before we bring in the great guests that we have on the show tonight. First and foremost, unfortunately, I don't think any of us made the drink of the evening.
I did.
You did?
Yep.
For real?
I had to
wait. Okay, so we should introduce this
things.
Oh, that's not it.
100%. Because I didn't have limoncello or like lemon syrup or any of the fancy ingredients, but I had two different kinds of Gatorade. So,
so just to set this up for people, the Brett Macris, aka Stray Bullet, aka our CBC chef, and he is in fact a professional chef, has been curating drinks for us every week, sometimes comic book themed, sometimes not. But I believe last summer we were trying to invent a drink that Pete would actually make, because Pete never makes the drinks, which is fine. There's no pressure.
Have all those complicated ingredients that you guys
I know,
have.
exactly. But Stray Bullet came up with this awesome drink called the Pete Palmer, which is like a homemade alcoholic Arnold Palmer that really leaned into all the stuff that Pete really likes. Yeah. And so it's like you were saying, it's limoncello, it's fresh squeezed lemon juice. You got a little vodka. You love the vodka.
I got vodka.
Yes. So what did you make instead?
I put vodka and then lemon lime Gatorade, which is kind of like the limoncello.
The limoncello of the sports drink.
Yeah, exactly. And then you add a little Mountain Dew for flavor. You know what I mean?
Which is also lemon lime, of course, right?
Yeah. That takes the place of the syrup that you guys are using.
Yeah,
I love that twice, so that's why I have two Mountain Dews.
You mix multiple different things because you're like, well, this will just take the place of this.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you cook. You just swap out things. It's just
that's how you cook when you're in prison or in some sort of disaster situation.
Life. Yeah, the prison that is my life. Yeah, exactly.
I don't have the ingredients for cookies, but I do have this dirt and ants.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yes, I'll eat the ants. Ants on a log.
There you go. Well, great. You guys should definitely try the Pete Palmer. It's great. If you want the recipe, you can go to patreon.com/comicbookclub. We got it in the Slack, and we got a lot of
the video was hysterical.
It's hey, we got there's a lot of stuff going on this show. We got a special guest appearance by Justin's dog, Pip, coming in.
Wow.
In the middle of while I was trying to talk about our Slack.
Aaron and John are losing their minds right now.
Get it, Alex.
Well, anyway, why don't we move on? Another thing that we've been asking you all to do is enough of your dog. Back to the show. We have been asking folks to leave us comments over on Apple, rating 5 stars if you want, and leave a little rating and a request for us to review. We got a new one this week. This is from Sidewinder. Says, love listening to the show, especially the Stack episode. Keeps me up to date with what is going on in comics. I'd love the crew to read and review Jack Kirby's The Demon. So there you go. Pete even wearing a Kirby shirt. So yes, we are going to review that on this week's Stack podcast, which comes out Wednesday, 9 a.m. in the Comic Book Club feed and its own dedicated Stack feed. So thank you for the recommendation. If you'd like to leave one, definitely do that in the comments there. We would love to get to it. So there you go. And folks, we are going to bring in our first guests here. They are the hosts of Last Podcast on the Left, and they have a new comic book version of the podcast, Last Comic Book on the Left from Z2 Comics. Henry Zebrowski and Marcus Parks. Hello.
Hey.
Marcus, we're very excited to see you, but Henry, welcome back. I think last time.
Wait, I'll just take it from here. Henry, you beautiful son of a bitch. I fucking love you, man. I wish I could see you in real life, but man, it is so good to see you doing stuff.
If I was there, man, I'd be like, mwah, mwah, I'd kiss your neck. No, it's so good to be back, dogs. But honestly, it's nice because I feel like over the last couple of years, I've gotten more filled with comic book knowledge. And now I can talk about it even more accurately. Thanks to fucking the slave driver.
Oh, interesting.
No, I gave Henry a crash course over the last couple of years on comic books. Ever since when we started writing Soul Plumber, the book we did for DC, Henry knew pretty much Transmetropolitan and like a handful of others. And
I
while we
read
were writing it, I just crammed as much as I possibly could. As far as
because I liked graphic novels. I read a lot of like superhero comics as a kid. Like I read Spider-Man and X-Men a lot as a little kid. But then as I got older, I got into like whatever like had a Ted in it.
Yeah. There's a lot of databases that you can just subscribe directly. Once a month they mail you a new Tick comic.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just one.
So Marcus, did this start with you then, the idea of doing sort of like a curated graphic novel version of the podcast, or did it come out of Soul Plumber, or where did it start?
Well, I mean, the way that we got into comic books in general is just I'm a lifelong comic book fan. Like I've been reading comics since I was 5. Like I've still got my issue of Swamp Thing number 32. That was like my very first issue, like the Pogo Alan Moore issue. And and I worked at comic book stores in college.
You hear him talk to all these executives. Every time we talk to these comic books, he just throws and he lightly throws down, be like, well, in the Dragon number 7, and and the other goes, yes, it's going to happen.
They know, man. They fucking know. It's the code.
Execs love hearing about Pogo.
Yeah, they love it. Absolutely.
Huge Pogo.
They don't get enough. They can't get enough.
But yeah, and my first job here in New York was like at Midtown Comics. Like I'm just a
nice.
Guy.
There it is.
Yeah, and so
shop in New York, man.
Oh yeah, well I'm an Action City Comics guy. This new shop in Greenpoint, small neighborhood shop. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's a lovely place.
That's cool.
But through the comic book, like we make through the show on last podcast, we make a ton of references to like mainly like the Invisibles, because we deal with magic a lot, and Grant Morrison, of course, is famous for the masturbation sigils and all that stuff. If you read Super Gods, all that shit's like full of magic. The idea that Batman is real and not real and all that.
Plus, he dresses like a magician, so
very much so. Very much so, and he wears Oakley's inside, but he doesn't vote for Trump, so that's he's a chaos magician.
And so the first TC got a hold of us, and then like Z2 got it's just obvious that we know our shit when it comes to comics and that we're comic book fans. And like the people over at Z2 just got a hold of us and said like, hey, you guys want to do like a curated comic book? And they basically just said, give us a dream list of the artists and writers that you would like to work for. Both contemporary and that's it right there. Like both contemporary and just like whatever. Because I'm still I've got my I just was reading my like stack from this week before we were coming on. Like I'm a weekly guy at the comic book store. So we were able to both get guys that I've been reading for years and years, and guys that are new on the scene. Like that cover that you just showed that was done by W. Maxwell Prince that does Ice Cream Man, which is
one of our
my favorite book. That and Department of Truth are my 2 favorite books out right now.
Oh wow,
that's Ice Cream Man. Ice Cream Man is just
got me.
The turn page to kill Gary is just one of the most brilliant single issues of a comic that I've read in years and years. So Z2's just been fantastic with it. And the second one, we got some great names on this one, but the second one, I'm not sure if I can talk about who we have coming up on the second one.
Tomorrow, announce day is Thursday.
Yeah, announce day is Thursday. Wow. We can talk about then we can
had
talk
you
about
on
the
wrong day. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, jeez. But the artists and writers that we got coming up for the next one are legends and contemporary writers and artists. They're some of the best people in the business. I just gave a hint. But in my favorite books that are coming out right now, but it's going to be fantastic.
So we did a lot of work. We did the last book on the left. I think that was when we pitched it. We even said like the idea, the first kind of vibe that we wanted to come across was Mad Magazine, but hyper evil. Nice. and but the Z2 kind of ran with it and really blew it out to the idea of, and that was like when we had our first creative meetings, that was what one of the things that kept coming up. It was like, we want to be chock full of imagery, and I was like excited. Same thing when we wrote the book, where it was like, I want to be the type of thing that if your mom finds it in your room, she'll be mad at you.
Oh yeah, dude, that's the
So, and how did you actually put together? Because it's a ton of different pieces. Were some like, oh, we got to do that? Like, what was how did you work with the writers? How did it all come together?
There was like a big like subject list that we talked about, and Josh, who runs Z2, is also a fan of Last Podcast, so he already kind of been like, well, we were kind of thinking of doing things in this area, and I got to write a detective Popcorn, which is a character I play on Last Podcast on the left. Like, I haven't done it in a long time, but it's like an old school character of mine, and I got to like bring it to life, which was cool for me. So I got to pitch that, and with Elliot Rahal, and we wrote that, which was pretty cool. And Ian McGinty, who did the art for that, which was awesome because it turned out they were also just like fans of the book. So it's like we did get to like directly contribute, and also just like, okay, you bring us what you got. And Josh, honestly, his taste level was amazing.
Yeah. Josh knows. Yeah, he knows what to do. Like, he knows everybody. There. He's great.
Yeah, I like Z2 a lot.
I know John
really awesome.
I know John Dominguez over there, and
from back in the day.
From back in the day, yeah, and he's a big driver over there, and like gets how to talk to people like you guys and make cool stuff.
One of the things that I really enjoyed about this book, beyond the stories, which are super fun, is you were talking about it as like Mad Magazine, and there's a bunch of interstitials as well. You have fun/gross pinups of these classic cryptids. You have one-pagers that go throughout the book. So how did you choose what went where? How much curation in terms of the overall pace of the book, the flow of the book went on as well?
Oh, thank God I didn't have anything to do with that. That was all editors. Like, we honestly contributed the art, like ideas, and then that's hard. Yeah. That's the part that's hard. We're currently Marcus and I are working on a new book right now, and like that's the thing that we're writing, hardcore writing, and that's like, I find that is the part that makes me want to die the most. Is that you have all these fun ideas, and then when this one we were kind of like running them all at each other to kind of see what would pan out at the end of it, and it was harrowing. That the last. Two books seem to always be the hard, very difficult, because they're like, all right, well, wrap it up. Like, oh shit.
Well, that's the other thing about it too, is that the artists and the writers that we asked Z2 to ask for us, they're people that we knew were going to do a great job, and and we also wanted to give them kind of free reign. I was like, just do what you want to do. Like, just give us something. We know you guys are going to do something fantastic. We know you're going to do something cool. Do what you want to do and get back to us. And everybody killed it. Like, everybody said,
it looks amazing. It's really fantastic. Congratulations. I was kind of hoping you guys would be more divas about it and just kind of like you look over every page and be like, there's not enough devil in this panel. I need at least more.
Throw some horns on that dude.
Yeah. I don't have a big eye for detail. I have undiagnosed ADHD that I mostly medicate with sativa.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help.
You have your own brand. I mean, congratulations, man. It's
hey, man, we're trying to. We're trying to get into flower as well. But so I'm soaked with THC. So that's the level of like, because we had all of these things, because what are you gonna do? They crushed it. So like every time they showed it, we're like, well, this is fucking awesome. This is much better than I would have put this together. Yeah.
Yeah, they know what they're doing over there. And I'm hoping and Henry got to write, he got to write something for the first one. Like, I'm hoping to write something for the second one. Like, did you guys ever read the Big Book series, like the Big Book of Death and the Big Book of Urban Legends, the factoid books? Like, I want to try to do something for the next one about a certain like small story on the podcast that we covered, an alien story that we covered on the podcast. There's always, the funny thing about the podcast is like there are ideas on there and stories that we've covered that I believe do not get enough attention, so we kind of adapt them. Like Soul Plumber was sort of adapted partly from the Michael Taylor story. Yeah, like this guy in England who lost his mind, believed he was possessed by the devil, and ripped his wife to shreds. with his bare hands while naked. And this other story, it's an alien story that I think is much more visual, that didn't quite get like the reaction that me and Henry were like, oh my God, this is the best fucking story ever. It's got all of this Christian imagery. It's this woman. She's like using her hallucinations to create aliens, and it just, came and went.
Sometimes our favorite episodes are the ones that bore the audience.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. That never happens.
Our parameters are it's either like they like the ones that Marcus and I are like, isn't this fascinating? Then it's either like hyper boring or it's so disgusting we just get letters. So I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore.
But I want to take like that factoid, but like that sort of series, that kind of template, and do something similar for the next book. Because I grew up reading; those were some of my favorites. Specifically, the Big Book of Freaks was my favorite growing up.
Do you find that, I mean, you've had, not to get so like corporate about it, but you've had so many different brand extensions at this point. You've had the book, you've had the comics, you've done web series and everything. Do you find those feed back into the podcast as well? Or is it, like you're saying, more you create the podcast and then you want to expand on it in all of these different ways?
The goal is to expand. It's to expand, and to be honest, truly, it's like saying stuff like when we wrote Soul Plumber, it was kind of like the opposite, where DC was like, we could wrap this all into the podcast, and we were like, we're trying to not, this is not merch, like this is work, this is hours and hours and hours of real creative work. Like Soul Plumber is a genuine comic book that Marcus and I wrote that we were like, we used last podcast to get in the room. But then it's like we're trying to make stuff. So with the thing about Last Comic Book on the left is that we knew that it does feel very brand extension-y, but it's also like we just have that kind of it's more that we then have the opportunity to put some of the most talented fuckers into the book because they at least see something they sort of recognize. And now we're trying to be like, because I feel like there's a lot of feeling within the comic book world where these guys that come in, they weekend in the comic book like sector, they show up and then like we like rubber stamp a thing, and then it just goes into the, like it's just another quote unquote celebrity selling comic books. But we really are trying to make it something special if we're going to put our name on it. And something like this, like you can't really. I mean, David Desmalkian writing a comic book for us is not like it's I don't find it to be pandery. It's like we're trying to pull out all the stops and making sure that you actually trust us later on, that we're not gonna like fuck with you. It's why that's why wait till you see these NFTs I'm selling. I've been selling pictures of just this for and it's incredible. The
no sellout, not setting off my sellout alarms at all. Feels legit.
Well, the podcast like always has and always will come first. Like everything is an extension of the podcast. Like when we talk about, what we're going to do that week or what we're going to do that month or what we're going to do that year, the first thing is always like, what are we doing on the podcast? What's the schedule for the podcast? How do we not miss the I mean, we can't miss the podcast because we got a fucking contract that we can't operate. And we have to keep putting it out every fucking week, no matter what. It's just always going to fucking happen. Always.
Now we're getting into it. Now we're getting into it.
Yeah. But that's even so, like the podcast always, that is what always comes first. And all of the ideas that we have, like we may pluck little things from it, but that's the thing is that we do the podcast because that's the shit that me and Henry love. That's the stuff that we, are like, we're still like alien, fans and true crime fans and all that, like, and, and we know like esoteric shit outside of all that. It's just that Last Podcast enables us to learn all of this cool shit that we can then apply to the stuff that we write, which is
something that I learned from Grant,
something I learned from Grant Morrison and Alan Moore.
It's fucking awesome, man. It's like, it's just the coolest thing in the world. We get to live our boyhood dreams on top of our other, like this is what we kind of ever wanted to do. We got all the way to the point where we could choose to take a massive pay cut.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's really awesome.
Well, and I feel like there's a lot of enthusiasm amongst comic book creators who are also fans of the podcast. So like, then it's this synergy thing. You got like Tyler Boss in here, an artist that is like just crushing it right now.
We're really lucky. We're really lucky. And to me, I'm again, it's really just about not disappointing the artists and the audience and everybody, because we really are just trying to make good ass shit. We're just trying to make spooky, fucked up, funny comic books, and hopefully we'll continue to do that until I guess when will California succeed? Even then,
you have a date?
3 years?
You have a
4
date?
years, I think.
You say that like it's on your calendar somewhere. You're like, when was that? I got to make sure I check that. Get my new passport.
We're going to sing into the ocean. It doesn't matter.
I know you're definitely not selling out, Henry, because like ever since I've known you, the work you've been doing is literally those adjectives you just used to describe the comic book. So brand is strong.
I sometimes wish I could be a different person. This is the person that I am. This is it. Like we even talk about this when we do various things where like, unfortunately, like, you know, like, oh, you're the character, the conspiracy, the guy who's like into all this. And I was like, no, this is me. This is my burden to bear in this fucking life. I can still walk a room. I can still ruin a dinner. It's honestly, it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
This is
can.
Yeah,
you really can. You really can.
Story there.
Oh my God.
No, this is so fucking cool to just even be able to sell a goddamn comic book. Now we're gonna do. Cool. I can't even say. I'm not allowed to say things, right?
Yeah, not yet. But for me, like the funny thing is that, like, you know, I went back. This was my goal all along. Like I've been wanting to be like when I was in like I went to school for creative writing, and that was my goal when I was in college. Is like, oh, I want to write comic books one day, and then radio ended up being the career that I followed, the career that chose me. And then, you know, it took 20 years in radio till I could finally get back to, until I could actually realize the dream of like writing comic books.
Wow. That's the same way Casey Kasem did it. He wrote Justice League for a while, right?
Right at the end of his life.
Here's a little
weird
story
take
going
on
out
Martian
to
Manhunter.
Superman. They're right for different heroes. So you got, just to kind of like set it up for people, the book is out next week? No, it's out now. It's out now.
It's out now, and yes. And it's an anthology book, just so y'all know. It's like, so it's last comic book on the left. It's an anthology book. It's thick.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of different stories in it.
And nice hardcover.
Nice. Oh yeah, you can really hit your kids with it. I love it, and I think that you'll like it. And there's a lot like that Sandown Clown story is still like just wild to me how good that came
amazing. Out. It's so good. Like it really does take the oddness and the unsettling nature of the encounter and just captures it perfectly. It's wonderful.
And the second volume is coming out in the winter, right?
Yeah.
Like it's coming out later this year. So people should stay tuned for whoever is going to be on that. We'll find out later this week.
Yeah, I wrote my piece for it. I was so excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
That's awesome.
No, I love it, man. And this is so cool. It's just so cool to get to write fucking comic books, man. It's just so fucking cool.
It's great. And I love this book. It's so much fun, like we've been talking about. There's just so many different things depending on what style of comics you like, what you're interested in. There's horror stuff, there's funny stuff, there's like some gruesome stuff and serious stuff. It's all over the place, but in the absolute best way. So congratulations, guys. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on, and we will hopefully have you back on to talk about the second volume.
Come back.
Congratulations.
All right.
Seriously, so good to see you boys.
Yeah,
great
We'll see you boys anymore. We men now. Used to be children.
I wish that were true, but I'll take it. Later.
Peace.
All right, there we go. Once again, it is called The Last Comic Book on the Left. The guests were Henry Zebrowski and Marcus Parks. You can also check out their podcast, of course, The Last Podcast on the Left, as well as I mentioned, The Last Book on the Left, and many, many other things. They are all awesome. Very excited to chat with them. And I'm very excited to chat with our next guest as well, another returning guest to the show. Woo-hoo. His new book, Beastlands, has been collected and is coming out from Dark Horse Comics next week. Ladies and gentlemen, Curtis Clow, hello.
Yeah. Hello, thanks for having me again.
Oh my gosh, thanks for coming back,
pleasure.
Curtis.
Yeah,
very excited to chat about Beastlands. So this is something, correct me if I'm wrong, but you crowdfunded it, and now Dark Horse picked it up for a graphic novel version, trade collection version. Is that right?
We've done like 7 Kickstarters for Beastlands. One was for like a soundtrack orchestra, made a soundtrack. It's gonna be like in vinyl and everything. And then we've done like up to 7 issues. Yeah, that was just crazy. I had this composer we're working with, and the Budapest Orchestra performing that. But besides that, we've done up to 7 issues just on Kickstarter ourselves. And now Dark Horse picked up the first 5 issues to collect it and trade for us.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
So
Does
cool.
that? I feel like that sort of thing, even beyond doing successful Kickstarters, which is its own sort of awesome, getting that pickup from Dark Horse, that must be gratifying, right?
Yeah, super validating. Like I feel like Kickstarter always used to be kind of looked down upon, but now obviously not anymore. When you have big names using it, like Scott Snyder and Keanu Reeves and Boom Studios and everybody. But so now I think people start to see there's actually quality stuff on there, and then you have publishers like Dark Horse and other ones, Image and stuff, looking for books. So it's validating to get that direct market release and find a new audience now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we talk about Beastlands in particular? I really love this story. This is a great new fantasy world. I think looking at the covers of it, you might think that it's an all ages book, and it isn't, probably not all ages, but it's pretty violent at times, but it still has this feel of mystical worlds, like, just to call out what I know Justin's probably going to call out, Willow, among other things.
Hell yeah, I was going to say Willow. It feels like it has the DNA of like Game of Thrones, Willow, a little bit of like the Legend of Zelda art that came along with the game when you got it in the instruction booklet back in the day.
Oh, nice.
Well, why don't you, Curtis, you want to talk about your inspirations behind the book other than what we are calling out in particular?
Yeah. Many of those are definitely inspirations. Like I call it like Pokemon meets Game of Thrones. So it's kind of like a more adult version of Pokemon. I grew up in the 90s, so all those things really influenced all my work. All the Studio Ghibli films, Princess Mononoke and stuff, and Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, all that kind of stuff. It never really grew up though. So it's kind of like a more grown-up version of those like monster collecting IPs that I used to love.
We used to watch Digimon when I was young, and we would drink every time they said the word digital, which was a lot in the show.
Drink what?
Justin? I was at the alcohol.
Oh, okay. You said when you were young, you would drink every time.
So. Well, younger than now.
I don't think I was a drinking age when I was watching it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have a feeling you're younger than me, but now I'm 22.
For Pete, it was juice. Pete goes juice crazy.
That's right. I go hard on the juice.
Yeah, he mixes like 9 Gatorades, which is poison. Yeah, absolutely poison.
So in Beastlands, though, like you've been kind of hinting at, these are folks that bond with these different animals. There is a bad king who really doesn't want them to have them, and they come to blows in some bloody and gruesome ways. What was the inspiration behind each of the creatures as well as the overall story?
Yeah, the overall story, I tried to really make like the main theme about like a human and pet bond and relationship. My dog was hit by a car back in 2016, but she survived and it was very traumatic. So I just, you always try to put something like personal and meaningful into your stories. And that's definitely like the heart of the story is kind of that human and pet relationship.
And when you're creating a new magical world like this, what's important? What's the groundwork for you? What is the things that you need to lay in?
Yeah, you can get lost in world building and it's like a black hole. You can just do it for months and months, but you got to build some rules around the world. And like this world is a world where these creatures are like real world creatures, even though they're big, they're the size of a horse. They have mixed like fantasy elements to kind of make these real world creatures, but they can die, they can get sick, they can get injured, stuff like that.
Spending 6 months developing the toad language from the South Island of the book probably does feel like maybe too deep.
Sounds like a good time.
That's how you know you're in. That's how you know you love it.
Well, other than the dark horse of it all, given that you have had so many successful Kickstarters, what do you feel like you've learned off that? What are the lessons that you picked up as you've gone through each of these iterations?
Oh man, you're always learning something new every time you do a new Kickstarter. It's a lot of work. It's you're just completely self-publishing from the printing all the way to the shipping. You're doing everything yourself. Like I'm the writer, so I'm paying an artist, my co-creator. I guess it'd be more comparable to like having a book with Image. Like I feel like I'm definitely ready for that since I'm pretty used to doing all that for all my self-published stuff. But it's a ton of work. You feel pretty burnt out after Kickstarters, but I don't see myself ever leaving the crowdfunding space. I think it's probably my home to stay.
Nice.
What about when you get the Dark Horse edition? Is there anything going to be different about it? Are there things that people that picked up the Kickstarter can get that are different, or what can we expect to see in the book?
Yeah, it's we have a making of PDF in the back. Well, it's not a PDF; it's printed now, but that was one of our Kickstarter stretch goals from before, and we have all the covers in the back, and it's the first time that's ever been collected. Like we've only done single issues before this, so this is the first time to get like all 5 issues in a collected edition. And hopefully everything goes well, and they'll want to publish volume 2 as well. But it's completely creator-owned deal, so we're still going to be kickstarting single issues while we have these like collected versions with Dark Horse.
Nice.
That's great.
And if you could bond with any beast, what beast would you bond with?
Oh, wow.
I would go with, the one on the cover there with wings. Like it'd be pretty cool to fly around, and you can't beat that.
Yeah.
That would be pretty awesome. So you've done 7 issues of it so far. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're up to issue 7, shipping out those orders now for the last Kickstarter, and then we'll probably come back with the next 2 issues. But we'll definitely get up to issues 10, and I have outlines up to like issues 25. So as long as our support's there on Kickstarter, hopefully we can keep going. It's lofty goals for like an indie series, but we are very fortunate to have a good following on Kickstarter. So hopefully we can get there.
What if I bonded with all mosquitoes?
I think you already do that, right?
They don't
I've
bite.
had that idea. Like, what if you have like all spiders on? Yeah, it'd be creative. Maybe in a future volume we'll get that.
That's great. If you do that, though, you owe Justin money. I'm just as his agent. I feel
I'll do ants or something instead. You know.
Classic. Come on the podcast and steal Justin's idea, and I don't get my 10%.
Alex, thank you. You're a real bulldog when it comes to. But I literally just was like, what if it was this thing that I would barely call it an idea. But,
that's how Mark Twain came up with Huckleberry Finn.
Oh boy.
Was the first example I thought of.
That's good. You're very fresh and current when it comes to culture.
Absolutely. So, Curtis, if people want to check it out, just to review, the first 5 issues collected in Dark Horse coming out on June 29th. And then can you still get issue 6 and 7 even if you didn't pledge the Kickstarter? Or is there a way of snagging them?
You just have to like hit me up on social media or something. I don't have an online store yet, but I'm always happy to sell people copies via PayPal or anything. But yeah, it'll be the trade will be out on June 29th, and then it'll be on Amazon and bookstores July 26th.
Awesome.
Nice.
Curtis,
That's
love
cool,
it.
Man.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Congrats.
Pleasure to chat. Congrats on the book. And
thank you. Appreciate it.
Right,
thank you guys. Appreciate you guys having me. Have a good one.
You bet. It's a great book.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
There we go. Once again, it's Curtis Clow, and the book is from Dark Horse Comics called Beastlands. It's going to be out June 29th, and it's very cool. And we are going to turn to our next section, which is my favorite section because you all make it up. It's your audience question. And for audience questions, all you got to do is drop a question and ask a question here on Crowdcast or the question or in the comments over on YouTube. I see a couple there already. Now, before we get into that, though, Pete, I assume you're drinking your modified artisanal Pete Palmer still?
That's right. That's all right. It's
great.
It's heavy in the vodka, which I'm sure is in his. And
heavy in the vodka.
Yeah, I mean it's the 2 different Mountain Dews that is like the light syrup that is the real kicker here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's great. And Justin, what are you drinking tonight?
I had a Captain Lawrence Kolsch, the Clearwater Kolsch, nice light, and then I'm back on the Cisco Brewers Grippa.
Ooh, excellent.
From Nantucket, one of my favorite beers.
Excellent. Whoa. I'm having a big old glass of water. There you go.
That's right.
Wow. What's the occasion?
The occasion is my son has COVID, and I'm trying to stay as healthy as possible, so I don't get it.
Nice.
The
drink Pete's drinking cures COVID. So
that's right. Right.
It's also horse tranquilizers, right?
It has a lot of medicinal and recreational uses.
Excellent. All right, why don't we get to some questions? Here's an appropriate one, pivoting right off. This is from Omnia Soul. Pete, have you tried the new Flaming Hot Mountain Dew? I promise it's not as spicy as it sounds, but to me tastes like orange Mountain Dew with a hint of chamoy. What is your ranking of all the Mountain Dew flavors?
Wow. How have we
Do you have all night?
Yeah, I don't know if but the Flamin' Hot's in this bad boy. How
many Mountain Dews do you have in there?
I told you 2 different kinds.
Oh, okay, Flamin' Hot, and what was the other one?
The Regulation Dew.
Oh, okay.
Alex, have you been to Pete's Mountain Dew cellar? He's got all plastic bottles all in racks.
This one is a 2021. You got to try it.
Oh, that's a lovely year.
Well, it's like we're the opposite of wine. You want a fresh Dew. The old Dew does not.
This one is expired.
Well, As far as the ranking is concerned, there's a lot of new flavors that come out that aren't that great that I've had yet, but it kind of just goes Mountain Dew, Code Red, and then kind of everything else. But there has been some different things that have been not too bad, but nothing that I've been like, this is my new flavor. There was like a 4th of July one that was like a mix of 3 different dews that I was like, this is really intense.
They pre-mix it?
It's like I don't know. It was like a July 4th special where they like mixed 3 different Mountain Dews. One of them was Code Red, and then it was like this other one that was like a white color.
Red, white, blue.
Yeah.
But the colors stayed separate. It was like a parfait
because they never run.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
these
it was,
dudes don't run.
They losing there, boy. I don't ain't been jokes about my flag. But yeah, I think it was one of those things where
jokes about my soda.
It's just they keep trying to kind of be like new flavor, new thing, and I fall for it every time and buy it and try it, and I'm like, this is garbage. But I've already bought it, so I'm into.
It's like Alex and chips.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Or Oreo flavors. Yeah,
exactly. And everything else. Also about
I guess everything.
No.
When we were doing that candy contest,
don't get me started.
Sweet Tooth podcast, and Alex would be like, "I went to get regular Kit Kats, but I got a fucked up Kit Kat from Germany."
Alex got me to try those peanut butter cups with the potato chips in it.
Oh, so good, right, Pete?
They were intense. It was intense. I liked it, but I would rather have a regulation. I mean, it was tasty.
You always want the regulation, though.
I mean, regulation is, you crave it. It delivers. You know what I mean? Like,
is there a more Pete thing than being like, I prefer the original?
Probably not. We got a question here from John Dorsey over on YouTube. Says, okay, gentlemen, top 3 artist-writer teams that had a long run, but wait, post-Golden Age. And go. I'll tell you what, the post-Golden Age thing is not going to be a problem for us. We don't know what we're talking about there.
Yeah. Well, I think they're getting into all the classics. Like,
sure.
So I think that tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think my first answer is ever going to be like Stan Lee and Jack Lieber. Jack Lieber's not a real person.
There you go. Take another swing at
nope.
A classic comic book creator.
Stan Kowalski and I don't know. But long
Dave
runs.
Tinkle, I think, wrote for him.
Yeah, first one that came to mind I'll throw out is Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo on Batman. They're just a great, iconic team
that's
together.
A great one.
Such a good one.
You know what? Stuff. I was going to say Mark Waid, and he did the Daredevil, or Chris Samney and Mark Waid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's really
did he do Daredevil? I know they did Black Widow together.
They also did Daredevil.
They also did Daredevil. Okay.
Yeah. With a great run on that. I'm thinking about Dan Slott's Spider-Man run, and I can't remember the artist's name when the sort of wide panel stuff. Anybody?
Marcos Martin.
That's what I'm thinking of. Very good.
2 good suggestions from Ben the Border Collie here in the comments. Brubaker Phillips on Criminal and everything else, and Vaughn and Staples, also great one. And Brian K. Vaughan and a lot of artists, like Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chiang as well. Good stuff. Good
K. Vaughan and anybody, Greg Pak and anybody.
Wow.
Classic team that doesn't even mention what the artist's name is. Love it. We got a question from Stray Bullet here. After discovering that Kevin didn't know about Jarro, the spawn of Starro, who was raised by Batman, what other uber supervillains would you like to see babyfied? Batman also helped to baby Darkseid for a bit.
That's right. Villains, baby versions of Baby Doom.
Mm-hmm.
With a little tiny metal diaper.
Oh, so cute.
Wait, what was it? Was it Thanos that Punisher went back in time and raised like
Baby Thanos?
Baby Thanos.
And of course, Baby Apocalypse was around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was kind of like Teen Apocalypse, though, right? Not Baby Apocalypse.
Well, he was Baby for a while over in the, was it X-Force book? And then he teamed up.
The famous X-Babies. I mean, but realistically, it all started with the Muppet Babies. I mean, that really broke it wide open.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great
That broke
villains.
that case wide open.
What's a villain that would be babyfied that would be like, it's still fucked up. I'm still scared of that baby.
Still scared of a baby.
Well, you wouldn't like Baby Mephisto, right, Pete?
Oh, that would just be awful.
I'm coming for your marriage.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything is cute as babies. I think that's the main thing about babies.
We got Baby Dockin over in the comments from Ben the Border Collie.
Villain?
It's not nice.
Debatable. There we go.
Yeah.
This is from Derek Mainhard, who was on the roster of Casey Kasem's Justice League.
Great question. We get that. I hope for someone just tuning in now, that's a perfect question.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, on his Justice League, there were a couple of people that were just like you and just like me. People who lived in small towns in America, traveled around by truck, and went from place to place, visiting each other and treating each other with real kindness. They were Azrael and Kyle Rayner Green Lantern.
Huge Kyle Rayner guy. He loves Aztec. I don't know what
I love the crab mask.
He seemed like a Wonder Twins guy, I think.
Yeah, probably.
No, the Wonder Twins are basically 50s pop stars.
Yeah. Oh, here comes Kevin with an actual fact.
Oh, here comes Kevin.
Kasem was Robin on Super Friends. Okay, thank you, Kevin, for making our joke not a joke, but valid now.
Well,
boy, oh boy.
Takes it very seriously. And I'll tell you what, Casey Kasem still on the radio. If you get out of New York, Casey Kasem's on the radio.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just
the most messed up part is he ends every segment with, "I'm Casey Kasem. Please let me die."
Yeah. I don't know what tubes they've got him hooked up to, but he is still playing the hits.
This is from Stray Bullet. Also, I want to take the new Secret Punisher quiz.
Oh, shit. What just happened? Uh-oh. Oh.
Wait, is there really a new Secret Punisher quiz?
Looks like it's time for the old Punisher quiz.
What the fuck is this?
Wait, hold on. Is this really happening?
For those of you listening, as soon as Stray Bullet said that,
Punisher
he started
Corner's alive.
shifting around at his desk, looking for some objects. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Hold on. It's been a couple of years, so I just want to set this up really quickly. For 5 years, I believe, you had a Secret Punisher quiz on the show that was only unlocked if somebody would say, "I'd like to take the Secret Punisher quiz," but you never told people there was a Secret Punisher quiz, so nobody knew about it until you revealed it was going on, and you had a secret prize or clue hidden inside a stack of old Punisher slippers and stuff that was sitting there. It took probably about another year to finally unlock it and then finish the quiz, which ended in a physical challenge, which was guessing a number. Do I remember that correctly?
Did you say that the way to unlock the quiz is by saying a phrase and there was no direction or clue about what the actual phrase was?
That's right.
And just to be clear, the phrase ended up being, "I want to take the Secret Punisher quiz."
That's right.
Yeah. So my question here has there been a second Secret Punisher quiz going on this whole time, Pete?
Yes, there is, and he just unlocked it. I would like to officially say that it's after this, though. I'm going to have to lock it down. And
okay. After 2 Secret Punisher quizzes, do we bring Brett into the stream for this?
You can't. Yeah, we're just going to have to take the quiz. But yeah, I got it.
How did he even know? Did you tell him about this?
No, he unlocked it at the end of the last episode. If you looked at the crowdcast at the very end when we were saying goodbye, he said, "I'd like to take the Secret Punisher. Quiz."
Wow. Okay. Wow. And so Brett, welcome to the stream. Oh, you have a little bit of an echo. Going on, but what?
We can't hear
you're
you.
silent. You're silent. This is great.
Yeah, we're only hearing Alex twice. Yeah, we're only hearing Alex vowed never to do.
Something I vowed never to do.
Look at that.
Yes.
Look
Here,
at that.
I do like your Punisher. There we go. Better? Brett, you still can't hear you.
Pete, is this part of the quiz?
Oh, wait.
Wait. There it is.
Yeah. There we go. All right, so you're wearing your Punisher apron. How did you know about the Secret Punisher quiz?
Because last week at the theme was playing, and I just on a whim because I got opened up the first quiz, and I gave it off to John, who took it and won. Wait, is that right? He did win, right?
He did win. Yeah. It took a couple, but he got it.
And so last week I was just joking around. I'm like, the credits were rolling. Great show, guys. And I just put it at the end. I want to take the new Secret Punisher quiz as a joke, just like kidding around. Just wanted Alex to see it and go, oh my God, not again, please. and Pete went, what did you do? You didn't do it to Monday.
I was like, you just locked it. You can't just do that.
Oh,
what? And
that's crazy.
That happened.
All right, Pete, how long have you been holding on to this?
Well, the thing was once we kind of went through and each did a quiz in case somebody, I had to have it ready in case somebody unlocked it.
Yeah, you had to.
Yeah, have it ready. I know. I'm the same way. I have a second secret. Starman? Did I do Starman?
Yeah, I have several Cypher quizzes just in case this goes on for the rest of our natural lives, like Casey Kasem.
I should tell you that I'm in no way going to win this. I'm going to fail this miserably. So,
all right,
it's very hard if you remember. Plus, this one's got to be harder because he already did the easy ones.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get it started. I'm going to read you the question, listen all three possible answers. Unfortunately, there'll be no hints. If you get it wrong, it ends, and then you'll start back over the next time you want to unlock it.
I can't believe this is happening.
We
let this happen. We could have just stopped this.
But also, great job on that video, man, with your kid. That was really hysterical, and I was very touched when you called me Uncle Pete to your child. So that was amazing. All right, here we go. Question number 1 in part 2 of the Punisher quiz. When Punisher took the War Machine armor, it was against whose orders? Is it A, Captain America, B, Nick Fury, or C, Colonel James Rhodes? Rhodey.
It was Nick Fury.
Correct.
Wow. We got a player out here today.
Ooh. All right, here we go. Question number 2. In Marvel Knights, the Punisher number 17, whose nuts did Punisher shoot off? Is it A, Deadpool, B, Wolverine, or C, nameless henchman number 47?
Could be multiple correct answers.
I don't know this, so I'm going to throw out. I'm assuming it's going to be someone whose nuts will grow back. So, Wolverine?
Wolverine is correct.
Wow.
I would not have guessed Wolverine.
Read that, but I don't. It was too long ago. I don't remember that. So,
okay, here we go. Question number 3.
This quiz starts and ends on this episode.
Who does Punisher ask to dinner because he is impressed by them? Is it A, Elektra, B, Black Widow, or C, Mystique?
I'm going to say Black Widow.
Ooh, sorry.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, man.
The quiz continues.
Okay, real quick, how many questions are in this, Pete, total?
So 3, 4.
No, it's too many already.
7. There's 7 in total.
7 in total.
We got to 3.
You're almost halfway through.
Yeah. Is there a physical challenge at the end of this one again?
Maybe.
Can't say.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Thank you.
We should have this
Hey, you
wrapped
guys
up
want
by
to see
Wednesday.
the Pizza Papa's pizza balls?
Yeah. Oh, yes, we did. Do you want to mention what's going on there?
Yeah. So in the food Slack, I was challenged to recreate them. So I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to do this. And so I spent the early afternoon documenting it, and it's all on the Patreon Slack, food and booze and drink portion of the Slack. And if you go and you subscribe, you can see how all of them got made. They are very, very good. There were 10, and now there's 6.
Excellent. And a perfect tie-in to Doctor Strange 2 on Disney Plus tomorrow. You can just hang out, eat Pizza Papa's pizza balls, and watch Multiverse of Madness. Good stuff.
I would love to, except I'm going to be at work. Making more pizza balls.
That's your special tomorrow, right?
Yeah, that goes over well at Koshan.
All right, thanks, Brett. Check you next time.
Later.
All right, there we go. A new horrible chapter of our lives has begun. I think
this summer we like to relax, and now we gotta deal with the Punisher quiz. I guess it really takes the pressure off Alex and I for the show, since Pete has to do not one but two trivia-based segments.
Yeah. We do have one last question here. This is from Kevin. What's the furthest you've gone or the craziest thing you've done for something comic-related or generally geeky?
Furthest I've gone.
Well, Justin flipped through the air in the trapeze act for Spider-Man week.
Truly, what was that? A full 10 years ago at this point?
Wow.
Longer, maybe.
Wow.
I was single at the time.
Probably the craziest comic-related thing I've ever done is sat through several Punisher quizzes.
Yeah. The equivalent of a super marathon. When I was traveling after college, I was out of the country for a year, and my dad picked up my comics once a month and collected them all. So I came home and got to read through a full year's worth of comics.
Awesome.
That was
Pete,
cool.
You got one?
I don't know. I mean, for a while there as a kid, I lived as a vigilante. So, there was that.
Interesting. What do you mean by that when you say lived as a vigilante?
I would nights protect my neighborhood. I would kind of do night shifts, and kind of live in my comic book dream.
Do you feel like your vigilantism created your arch nemesis, like a Batman Joker situation?
Oh my God, I hope not.
How old were you?
Oh, I don't know. I want to say 13, 14, 15 area on up for a while.
Interesting.
And what did you dress like? Or I'm sure you were holding nunchucks.
I would have them on me. I wouldn't hold them.
Yeah. Well, you're a vigilante. You don't know.
Yeah. It was mostly black. A lot of. I tried to make like the Casey kind of like a mask from Teenage Mutant Ninja. Not Casey Kasem, no.
I'm Casey Kasem, and I love being a turtle.
Casey Jones. Casey Jones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That tracks. Pete, made a big sacrifice by getting high with Kyle Baker for comics.
Yeah, that wasn't the craziest thing I've ever done, but that was a lot of fun.
That was like a Pete coming home. That was like a hand going into a glove.
I was pretty stressed out from hanging out with you guys for days straight. I needed to bake with the baker.
Totally fair. Totally fair. I can't believe you've never said that out loud before on our show. We've mentioned that several times. Very disappointed you just found that pun. And we're going to move on with our next section, which is trivia. And for that, we're going to turn it over to Pete LePage.
Oh, that's not a good idea.
Unless you don't have a second trivia.
Oh, I got it. Oh, I got it.
He does. All
right. Well, if anybody wants to come in, win $25, just raise your hand, say me, or anything like that in the comments. If we don't grab somebody here at Crowdcast, we'll grab somebody at YouTube. If we don't grab somebody at YouTube, it's going to be me or Justin for, I don't know, charity.
Charity.
Sweet charity. I don't know if we have anybody here, Pete.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you were quizzed out. You've burnt through the
I am over-quizzed. I'm over-quizzed.
All right. Well, why don't we do this for a charity? Justin, you got a pick of one that you...
A charity?
Yeah.
We could keep going with the Everytown America that we've been doing.
Yeah, that's been nice.
We actually do have... David Quinley says me over on YouTube.
Great.
So there you go. So David... we're going to take $25 away from Everytown America.
Don't say that, Alex. That's not nice.
I'm kidding. We will donate to them as well, just because we promised it. But you're going to play for a $25 gift card in Midtown. It's going to be a little delayed, but just drop the answer in the comments, and we will get to it. I have a fruit fly right in front of me. God, it's very annoying.
I've never seen Alex so angry.
Yeah,
take it away, Pete.
Okay, today's trivia is on topical comic news and a small nod to the legend Tim Sale, R.I.P. Please listen to all three options before making your selection. Here we go. Question number 1. Starting in 2023, who is getting the rights to Planet of the Apes? Is it A, Bisa Sherby, B, Marvel, or C, Lisa Kirby? So it's either A, which doesn't make sense, or it's B.
Let's see what he says.
Could be any.
Could be anyone.
I know what it is. I know what the correct answer is for sure.
Well, let's assume they made the right guess and move on.
Oh, you're just going to go ahead?
Yeah.
I don't. Right. They rarely do that in Jeopardy.
Right. Well, we can go forward.
All right, great.
I told him what the answer was over on YouTube, so it's fine.
Great. In Batman, Superman, World's Finest number 7, who is getting a secret sidekick? Is it A, Catwoman, B, Superman, or C, Marv Wolfman? So it's either A, don't pick it, or it's B.
Wait, what was B?
Superman.
Secret sidekick.
Yeah, let's see.
If you had a secret sidekick, who would it be? One of us? Is there?
I would love Henry Zebrowski to be my secret sidekick. That guy's amazing.
That would be very nice. I feel like you'd be his sidekick, though, to be honest.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And let's shout out Pete's fresh haircut. I don't think we've talked about that too much.
Well, it's no new glasses, but I'm trying. All right. Here we go.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, B. He said B.
Great. Correct. Nice. Last one. Who is pitting Batman versus Robin in September? Is it A, Mark Waid, B, Slade, or C, Steve Rude? So it's either A, Mark Waid, or you could be completely wrong.
Ooh.
I don't know. We'll see what he says. This is a tight one.
Anyways, all of the C answers are, of course, the 2007 straight-to-video hit Jack Kirby Storyteller.
That Tim Sale was in?
That's correct.
Tim Sale, tragic that he died so young.
Yeah.
Not an actor in a lot of movies.
Nope.
I would argue.
No, but
we're shouting out
awful.
Because that just the unbelievable talent. And I mean, you want to talk about worth for the art alone. Everything that he did was just absolutely magical in so many ways.
Talk about great partners like Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale.
Yeah,
we should have said that is one of my faves. Obviously, there's the big ticket books, but even the other ones that people that aren't as beloved are still awesome.
Yeah, so good.
Speaking of comic books, new comic books are coming out this week. That was a terrible transition. But what are you guys looking forward to that's coming out on the stands or is already out there? Pete, anything you want to call out?
Oh, yeah, sure. Shaolin Cowboy number 2, Nightwing number 93, and, of course, Punisher War Journal Blitz number 1.
Oh, wow.
What about you, Justin? What are you looking forward to?
A lot of stuff. We are talking about a lot of books.
So many.
This week's stack.
Yep.
I've been really liking I Hate This Place, number 2 by Kyle Starks, which comes out tomorrow. And I'll give it up for one more while I'm at it. Homesick Pilots.
Oh, yeah.
Coming to an end this week.
Oh, man.
Coming to an end. Heartbreaking. One of my favorite books. There's so much more in this world to explore. So I have a feeling we're going to see some more.
Yeah, like you guys said, there are so many good books coming out this week. It's hard to choose, but I want to give a shout out to Milestones in History, number 1 from DC Comics that came out today. It's a true history book, but through the lens of the Milestone characters. And not only is it a perfect tie-in for Juneteenth that just happened over the weekend, and I assume that's the point of publishing it now, but also it's just it's hard to make these sort of history lessons fun to read at the same time. And I think, without spoiling it too much, but it's already out on the stands, I think this book does that really successfully. So we're going to talk about that book and the rest of the books that we mentioned in the Stack podcast that comes out Wednesday, 9 a.m., both in the Comic Book Club feed and its dedicated Stack feed. And folks, that is it for this week's
That's the show.
A couple of people we want to thank. We want to thank Henry Zebrowski and Marcus Parks for coming on. Check out The Last Comic Book on the Left, out now. Today, in fact, from Z2 Comics. Also, Dark Horse Comics Beastlands from Curtis Clow. That is out June 29th,
Great
so
book.
you can check that out then.
Both of them
Both
amazing.
super fun. Next week, we're going to have another big show for you. Kevin Scott is going to be here talking about his new book, The Ward, as well as Star Wars, The High Republic, and many other things. Also, Kyler Merrill is going to be here to talk about Fletcher Cross. Couple of podcasts we've got going. Let's Hear It for the Boys, our boys podcast, coming out on Fridays. Very fun to talk about.
Lots
Riverdale
happening there.
After Dark, a Riverdale podcast, coming out most Mondays whenever they decide to air the show, but check that out. Marvel Vision, our Marvel podcast, is recapping Miss Marvel. Also, the Umbrella Podcademy, our Umbrella Academy podcast, is back starting tomorrow for the new season. The Doom Room, our Doom Patrol podcast, running every Thursday. That's a lot of podcasts, guys. It's a lot of podcasts. Patreon.com/Comic Book Club to support the show and all the shows we do. Subscribe on Apple, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice. At Comic Book Live on Twitter, Comic Book Club Live on Instagram, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, good night.
Good night. May you unlock the secret Punisher quizzes in your own heart.
Take care of yourself.
Please, won't someone let